Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over video number 7. Just a notification as far as what is coming next in video 8. In video 8, we're going to be covering a little bit more of the life development when participating with the sport of baseball. It goes further than just learning to play the game or winning with the highest score. It really breaks it down to, even if your player's not necessarily up to snuff with his peers within the game, there's also other opportunities for players to move on as a younger adult once they get into the college years, so on and so forth, of other opportunities that come from playing baseball. It's not always about being the major league, superstar, collecting the millions of dollar contracts. There's also money to be had and education within baseball for other job opportunities. So that'll be in video number 8. For video number 7, we're going to go over safety equipment, and this is going to cover not only your typical things that you think of as far as maybe a helmet, so on and so forth. We're going to go through from the head to toe of safety equipment for every single position of the ball player on the field. Now in this video, we're not going to cover the specific gear for a catcher. That's going to be all in the catcher's video. The responsibilities and the equipment that go along with being a catcher, that is going to be an entirely different video all by itself. This one is going to be what every player needs to know within safety gear. So we're going to start at the top, and you'll notice that on this side of the board, we actually go over the purchased materials that you can buy to become safer within your play. On this side of the board, we're going to get more into the player responsibility, and even from the parents and coaches, things that they need to develop to provide safety to the players. So we're going to start on that side of the board first, because this is probably the most overlooked safety aspect when it comes to being a baseball player. First, excuse me, my dog is running around. First, mentality. Okay, part of our youth is that we are raising them to become responsible adults. So the mentality of their ability to understand the fundamentals of the game goes further than just being able to hit the ball or throw the ball. It comes down to their mentality around the entire game of baseball. A lot of that can be taught. In previous videos, I've mentioned that 4 weeks prior to even stepping foot on the field, classroom time should be taught to each one of our players, no matter what age group they're at. Teaching them the history of baseball, sometimes the politics or the bureaucracy that gets into the game. Realize that is always going to be there no matter what level of play you're at. And the mentality to be able to adapt to that, understand it, and go on with your experience with the baseball is very important. Your mouth, okay? No matter what age level or level of professionalism in baseball, we should all be teaching our players and realizing as parents and coaches that our mouth is actually a safety device. So whether it's congratulating a player, reinforcing them, supporting them, negative comments of you're not good enough, they can have everlasting effects on our players. So your mouth is actually a safety device. So remember that, even if you're a parent from an opposing team, what you may say to your player on the field may be something that they retain or remember for life. Again, it goes back to the mentality. Are you truly there for playing the game, being part of history within the game, or are you just there in the moment, allowing your emotions to control you? Okay, so with that, the next one down is going to be heart. Does your player have the heart to put in the dedication and have the mental capabilities of understanding that you are part of a team? It is not just a game to identify the winners or losers. There's a lot that goes into baseball. And when you start getting to the higher elite levels of play, the amount of heart that you put into the game can get you noticed. Okay, your swinging ability, your infielding or catching ability, the speed of your pitch, that's only a portion of the scouting statistics. the amount of heart you have will get you much further than your actual physical performance. Ask any college or professional league coaching staff, that's what they look for, is the players with the most heart, because they can develop the physical portions of the ball player. Now, the next one down is going to be your gut, and that covers multiple different things. It's not necessarily your gut feeling of what might occur with the next play within a ball. It covers the health and the safety that you need to pay attention to your digestive system, so on and so forth. So within that, hydration is extremely important. Okay, most of your baseball is being carried out during the warmer months of the year. So depending if you're in the snow belt of the northern United States to southern states of Florida, you need to hydrate all the time, 24 hours, 365. You need to hydrate. When you are in a field, you have very little chances of leaving the field to get a drink when you get thirsty. Always having that internal supply of hydration for your body to use is the difference, believe it or not, between life and death. In my experience, issues related to dehydration will take a player out of the game, and it can actually affect them for the rest of their lives because they'll be more susceptible to things like heat stroke, so on and so forth. That also goes with the largest organ on your body is your skin. Again, we're going to be covering some of the other materials that you can buy or purchase to help with safety, but your skin being exposed to the ultraviolet rays can obviously get burnt, and it takes time to recover. If you're in a league or an organization that plays ball continuously, you don't have time to recuperate. So taking care of your skin, whether that's covering it with clothing or protective chemicals, suntan blocker and stuff like that, that's a portion of the gut safety things. Now, diet. Again, it comes right down. Hydration goes right along with the kind of foods that you eat. Make sure that you're eating foods that will help you with an energy during a game and will also be healthy. Okay, you don't want to be downing a very greasy hamburger before a game. Many of the ball players in our region, they're dependent on the food that's being served through their local concession stands. Realize that junk food is not prominent for your performance of your player on the field. Okay, your greasy French fries or hamburgers, even hot dogs, they're not necessarily going to supply the energy needed to last the entire game or even a double header. Okay, so remember that, especially for travel parents that are going away for a weekend tournament. Take in mind and consideration your diet for your family and your player the entire weekend leading up to it and afterwards, because they have to replace the energy that they expend during the games. I threw this in there. This is just something that you'll notice within baseball. Sunflower seeds is kind of taking the place of chewing tobacco. Okay, again, teaching players about the history, realize that majority of the ball players in our history, most of them used a tobacco product at some point, even Babe Ruth. So realizing that cigars, cigarettes, chewing tobacco was something very common, and we have moved on because of health issues and so on and so forth, where sunflower seeds have become kind of the replacement to chewing tobacco. Now, seeds, whether it be peanuts, sunflower seeds, so on and so forth, are also healthy for your gut diet safety issues. Okay, normally you can choose obviously the different flavors that might be infused into your sunflower seeds, whether it be barbecue, ranch, so on and so forth. Realize that not only the sunflower seed itself, you're discarding the shell so you get the flavor. The salt content in the actual mix is also important for the hydration. The salt will help you retain the fluids that you're taking in within hydration. Okay, so there's two benefits to basically utilizing sunflower seeds. Also, if you're an individual that doesn't like sunflower seeds, or you get sick of them after eating them for a long period of time, or you don't like, or you're disgusted by the mess that they leave behind, there's obviously alternatives to that. seedless sunflower seeds, but make sure that you're getting the salt content variations. So again, those are some of the safety aspects that most individuals do not think about when they're preparing for baseball. You say hi? Yeah, dog needs some attention too. Now we're going to get into the actual components and the gear that needs to be purchased or attained to play the game of baseball safely. This side of the board, we're going to cover everything. Hopefully you can see. Yep, all the way to the bottom. Very good. So take a moment, snapshot that, save it, so on and so forth. Create your own checklist so that in the off season you can start packing up your backpacks or adding in the materials that you do not have. Now, some of this gear will be specific to an age group and what the league itself supplies to the players. Again, according to the rules, certain pieces of equipment have to be supplied by the actual league. But if you decide to go outside of that, realize that certain age groups require additional safety equipment. So we're going to start at the top. And it may raise some drama, but I'm going to prove through the history of baseball the correct way to wear a baseball hat. Okay, so we'll get to that. First of all, hats, since it's at the top of the list. Baseball hats were designed specifically for the reason of blocking out the sun into the player's eyes so they can see what they're actually doing. So the hat, believe it or not, is a safety device. Now, along with that, the types of baseball hats will also be part of a safety thing. So I have multiple variations here to show you the configuration and the construction of a baseball hat. My dog wants to play now. So I have two variations, the one I'm wearing right now and one in my hand, that are both fitted baseball hats. And they are of a solid construction. So they're actually material that does not necessarily wipe away any heat or any perspiration. Does not allow the heat to actually escape outside of the hat. Okay. Yes, there are little breather holes in the hat that will help, ventilate the air above a player's head. But they are not going to be as efficient as, say, a knitted or a netting type baseball hat. I thought I brought one out here. Apparently not. Okay, so obviously there's different kind of hat construction and also how the hat is fitted onto the head. Some of them will have adjustable Velcro. Some of them are the snap kind. Also some that are elastic that will stretch. But the construction and the way that heat can actually escape from the head, once again, we're going back to the safety aspects and the hydration and the heat the player's being exposed to. It needs to be shading them from the sun, but also allow their body heat to escape without overheating. Because, again, heat stroke is a real thing. And I've seen multiple players drop out. And once an individual is exposed to that condition, they're more prominent to and more sensitive to that occurring once again. So even within your hat design is part of a safety issue. Now, the next thing on the safety list is your shades, your sunglasses. So today, obviously, I've got one example here, and we're going to compare it to the actual baseball hat because multiple players, when they get their shades, okay, they're going to wear it because of their favorite player or the coolest way to wear their shades. So traditionally, baseball players would wear them like this. More modern day practices in baseball is having a straight brim, and the baseball or the shades are worn upside down, so on and so forth. It's a fad. That is not necessarily there for safety. Now, baseball hats and shades are intended to be constructed in a similar fashion. So let's go back to my personal hat here. And you'll realize that the brim of my hat is turned in. It's actually got curvature to it. So the reason why I'm doing the video where I'm at now with my home is because of the reflection that I'm getting through the window. And you'll notice that because of the brim of my hat being curved, it is blocking some of the sunlight across my eyes. So I do not necessarily need a pair of shades to block out the sun. Or if I go to a straight brimmed hat, I'm not getting that protection. You can obviously see the shadow is not there. Now, whether you want to debate the correct way to wear a baseball hat, okay, it is not, okay, this is not the correct way to wear a baseball hat unless you are the catcher you are putting on protective equipment over your face, okay? Now, with a straight brim hat, it's the fad, you'll even see players that are cranking it up like this, okay? It is basically to get noticed, and that is not a safety aspect within the game. It also is the accordance to way the baseball shades are also constructed. So you notice the profile of the top of the shades matches the curvature of the brim of the hat. Okay? Now, depending on the time of the day and the sun exposure, what is actually the correct way to mold your hat to being a baseball player? So we have to go back again. This is taught within the history of baseball, going all the way back to when baseball players, wore, kind of the Navy sailor type hats, to more modern day head protection within helmets. I have permanent safety equipment, and you'll notice the brim shape of both of these designs. This being a modern day batting helmet, this being also a batting helmet that was used during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And you notice that the preformed bill of the hat has some curvature to it, because at that time, within baseball, again teaching history, there wasn't a separate helmet for the ball players to get up to bat. It took a very similar device like this and wore it over the top of their actual baseball hat. So the brims needed to be very similar in shape in order to be able to suffice to their safety equipment. So if you were to take that design and mold it into all of your hats, you're going to be able to realize that your shades go in accordance to the shape. So again, if I hold it tight, the top of your shades should match the curvature of the bill of your hat. That provides the most amount of shade to your eyes as you are playing the game. Okay, so again, whether your kid wants to wear his hat like his favorite baseball player, or wear hats that have their favorite team logo on it, the quality of the hat, the expense of the hat is not necessarily better because of the increased cost. Look at the hat to see if it's got the available space to allow heat out and also to block out the sun and fit firmly. Okay, now as players go out through the summer, their hair is going to grow. We'll add size to obviously the size of their head. So your hat needs to be adjustable. The best that I have found is your elastic size that will actually stretch, so it'll stay tight as your hair is growing, or as your body swells from dehydration. Your body will swell when it gets hotter outside. So having that ability to be comfortable is going to be more advantage to the adjustable hats. But if you are playing ball long enough, the elastic style hats will be the best advantage. So again, the brim is there and the curvature is there to block out the sun, even from your peripheral vision. So it is a safety device of how you actually mold the brim of your hat. Moving on to the helmet. Obviously, helmets come in all different colors, and there's obviously differences in the type of padding that comes inside of the helmet. Any modern baseball player needs to realize that inside of your modern day helmets, they will have an expiration date. That is from the manufacturers and the design of the padding and the protective thickness of the actual helmet. So if you find a helmet that might be in pristine condition from 1987, it is not necessarily going to provide you the best safety that's available in 2025. The design of helmets have evolved, including the type of air evacuation ports to the the mounting brackets for either a face guard or chin or jaw guard, which we'll be getting into in just a little bit because that's another piece of safety equipment. So you can see right at the back of the helmet, the manufacturers will print on there the size of the helmet. Make sure that the helmet is secure on your head so that when you're running or up to bat, that the player's helmet does not become an interference to their ability to play ball. The next on the list is your jaw protector. So along with your helmet, some of the baseball leagues have enforced rules and regulations to wear an entire cage across the jaw or mouth area. Some of them realize that that's an interruption to being able to see the ball, interferes with the player to be able to feel like they can actually play the game. Most of your softball girls are requiring that cage, or at least a partial cage across the helmet. Depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed, even at the Major League Baseball levels now, they have a jaw protector that mounts on the helmet utilizing the already provided mounting holes or snaps to protect your jaw from the pitch. So again, remember that. Rules have also changed for as far as the catcher, what they have to use within their extension of their helmet. So if you're using an older design, you also have to add on that throat protector securely enough, because they have found, again, throughout history of baseball, that that's where some of the injuries come, when a ball may reflect off the bat and actually get underneath the helmet. It is not only the cage of the face mask protecting your face, it's also other areas exposed to the ball. Moving on down, the jersey. Okay, uniforms are just as important as far as a safety device as a helmet. So I have one example. We're going to go over the actual color, the construction of a jersey, what can be worn underneath the jersey. It's all there to design for safety. Also within hydration, whether you're wearing a long sleeve shirt underneath your team jersey to allow your sleeves to block out some of the sun. All the different materials now that are available are there to actually help whisk the perspiration of your skin out and away, so it allows the air to still breathe and you are blocking out the sun rays that might be exposed to any bare skin. Jersey construction and color have a huge impact on your ability to play. If you're the type of individuals that might think it's cool that your team has black jerseys, on a 100-degree day, your body temperature is going to be at least 10 degrees warmer than the opposing team that's wearing a white jersey. Okay, so just remember, the color of your jersey is a safety device within the construction. It might look cool, but it's going to be a lot warmer. And when you're standing out there all single day or all practice or during the games, the color of your shirt or your clothing wear will dictate your inner core temperature. Also, the construction of a jersey. It should be made out of a material that allows perspiration or the heat of your body to escape. So I have two jerseys here. One would be the Rawlings Adult. This is actually one of the local college collegiate ball player jerseys that's given away at the end of the season. They're also button-up fronts. Okay, realize that. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate as far as any of the bling or necklaces that are worn by players today. Again, that is personal preference. There are regulations within most baseball organizations of how much you can have there, or how much of the buttons of the shirt can actually be unbuttoned during the game of play. Again, it comes down to professionalism and what is being worn underneath the jersey. Obviously, on an extremely hot day, most players do not wear a undershirt under their jersey. But once again, there are materials now that will help a player perform more safely wearing an undergarment underneath their jersey. Okay. The material of the jersey is also for inclement weather. So whether it's raining outside, thunderstorms moving in, so on and so forth, they're out in the field. Okay, they have to be protected from the elements. The jersey themselves are a safety piece of equipment. So coaches, leagues, organizations out there, spend the additional money that it takes to get proper gear when it comes to jersey for the players. If the players have to purchase them, remember that they will get dirty, It will get stinky and sweaty. Make sure they have the ability to purchase multiple jerseys or be supplied with multiple jerseys for the season. This is where money and quality does come into play. I have one other example here. Again, short sleeve or long sleeve jerseys. Home games or away games, again, taking into consideration, there should be options for the players to wear the proper gear, and that should be directed by the coaches. They should be aware of what kind of weather they're going to be playing through and direct the team to wear the jersey according to the weather. I have one other example here. This is actually a hockey jersey. Realize that even hockey players, as they are being active on the ice, they're going to perspire at the same amount as a baseball player standing out at a 100-degree, sun directly above your head type play. So being able to breathe and the trade-off of being able to retain some of that body heat. The jerseys are going to be constructed out of very similar materials. So this baseball jersey and this hockey jersey are constructed of the same exact material. One is short sleeve, one is long sleeve. It all comes down to the underwear or undergarments that are being worn. Moving down on the list, we get to the elbows. Now, obviously, as a batter, depending on the level of play that you're on, if it is something where it's a competitive play or pitch, even in the 8 and 9U region where machine or coach pitch overhand can be delivered, elbow guards are something that has to be getting used to. So they are required once you start getting into the older ages. Once you start getting into 13U, elbow pads are required. Okay? So again, why not have your players get used to that additional piece of equipment? Yes, they are going to cost a little bit more money. Some organizations are not going to require them. It is you and your personal preference if you need that protective gear. If you ever catch even a 30-mile-an-hour ball to the back of your arm, you realize that it hurts and it could do permanent damage. So again, safety equipment with elbows. Your wrist is no different. Now, there are safety equipment designed in each piece of equipment for each level of play to protect your wrists. Whether that's your batting gloves to help strengthen your wrist when you are swinging, to if there is a ball coming in and you swing partially and the ball hits you in the wrist or the back of the hand, that should all be taken into consideration as far as your safety equipment. The faster the ball is being delivered to you, the more protection you should have to the back of your hand. Again, your bones within your hand cannot withstand an impact, a direct impact, even by a ball going 30 miles an hour. Does the safety equipment hamper the player's performance? Once again, that is going to be up for the individual to decide. The coaches and leagues, at what age that should be introduced as a requirement. Again, going by the industry standard, not by your regional practices. Hands, okay? Yes, wrist and hands are going to be a separate concern. Hands need to be protected with equipment in multiple different variations or places within a baseball field. As I mentioned, if you are at bat, depending on the bat style and the speed of the ball, the concussion of that impact transfers into the hands. So whether it's through a set of batting gloves to grips being added to the handles of the baseball bats, it's all there to protect your hands while you're at bat. Now, gloves also come in different forms for catchers. So depending on the level of quality of your baseball glove, if it has internal padding or not, some of the younger age baseball gloves, or mitts, I should say, baseball mitts, are not constructed with additional padding. Again, that additional padding costs more money, puts the baseball mitt into a higher cost spectrum. But you can buy actual catching gloves that have padding in them so that you can still utilize a catching glove inside of your mitt. Okay, so remember that. Many of the younger players do take advantage of that additional padded glove. In previous videos, I mentioned that in that 8 to 9 year transition, when the softer cushion ball of T-ball is being replaced by the harder balls, players form a natural fear of the ball. By allowing them and purchase them a padded catching glove, they are going to be able to overcome that fear of catching the ball and feeling that sting within their glove. So either through the batting padding glove, to the actual padding within the catcher's mitt, that all comes down to another safety device. We are getting fairly long at 30 minutes here. So I'm going to mark on here where we're going to leave off. And we'll come back for video number 7, part B. We'll continue at gloves, both batting gloves and the mitts themselves. And then we'll continue down with the list on the right side of the board. Have a good one. Catch you on the return.